You also you also heard him talk about Palestinian statehood and break from some U.S. allies who are recognizing Palestinian statehood. He said doing so would be rewarding Hamas. And he also is really focused on climate change, saying that climate change is a con job. Of course, the overwhelming consensus of the scientific community is that climate change is very real and primarily caused by human behavior. Caitlin, what stood out with you with this speech?
Well, Pam, obviously that went way beyond the allotted time limit for any world leader to come and speak at the United Nations, maybe even quadruple what the time limit typically is. And basically what you just heard from President Trump amounted to a very forceful lecture to the United Nations about not just the body itself, but also how the world leaders sitting in front of him are running their own countries. That comment that you just noted there, the president said he knows what he's talking about and said a lot of their countries are going to hell in his view. And he started out that speech, Pam, it was quite clear where it was going to go, as he was saying that basically the faulty equipment as he came inside the building here at the United Nations symbolized the uselessness of the United Nations in its current form. He said the United Nations has potential, but that it is not living up to that potential as it is right now. Pam, two things he was talking about. A broken teleprompter, apparently. You could see the president there was reading off of a script in front of him, though he certainly went off script many times during those remarks. But also, as he came in the building, he and the First Lady were going up an escalator. We were actually standing there in the lobby during that moment, and the escalator kind of malfunctioned and stopped halfway through, and they walked the rest of the way up. But the president mentioned that only moments into his speech and was basically pointing to that to make his argument and to kind of underscore his point overall here about the United Nations, as he then went on to lecture all of these nations, whether it was on climate change, whether it was on the war in Ukraine, as he was castigating European nations for still importing Russian oil.